Welcome, everybody. My name is Stuart Schlossman. For those that don't know, I'm president and founder of MS Views and News. I am also an MS patient. And tonight's program is supported by Sanofi Genzyme, Bristol-Myers Squibb, and Biogen. So we want to virtually give them a round of applause, right? Yay, yay. Okay. All right. And our guest tonight, we have Kathy Costello, who's the VP of Can Do MS. You'll hear more about Kathy in a few minutes. Kathy will be telling us more about herself. And next we have Brian Thompson. And Brian is the director of Can Do MS. And Brian also will be introducing himself in a few minutes. I just wanted to let you know, though, that MS Views and News did create this advocacy hub because we wanted to be able to provide the MS world, all right, with information about other members of the MS coalition. MS Views and News is part of the coalition, but the top, the larger organizations. So MS Views and News is like the smallest organization in the group. And, we have all these other organizations there with tremendous amounts of, whether they have resources or programs or they're involved in clinical trials or getting the word out about the clinical trials, or for those that are doing programs, doing fundraising and what they can do. And that's the reason why we started this program, is to show the world what the other advocacy organizations are doing for them. I mean, it's for the benefit of the MS patient. So again, we wanted to make this a program series. And so we're interviewing first the other members, the MS Coalition, and then we're also going to be speaking with like Antidote and others in clinical trials. We did go outside the coalition just a few weeks ago. We went international. We interviewed the people from Shift MS, George Pepper from over in the United Kingdom, and we're going to be doing a few more where we've been asked to interview the people from the MS Society in Australia and in Canada and other places. So even a person came to me recently from South Africa and said, hey, we have a lot of people down here with MS. I found it a little strange. I'm only thinking of elephants, tigers, and bears, oh my. But, we have to give everybody their opportunity. So going forward, all right, again, we have our guests tonight. We have two very special people from Can Do. We have Kathy Costello and we have Brian Thompson. And I want to just get into things right away with both of them. And I would like to ask you both one at a time. We'll start with Kathy first. Can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and your role at Can Do?
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much, Stuart. And first of all, thank you so much for having this program. I think it's so critically important. This is such a great place, as you call it, a hub. It's such a great place for people to learn about what's going on, what the resources are, where there's information. So first, I applaud you and I thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
So I've been around in MS care for a long time. I'm a nurse practitioner and started my career long before we had disease-modifying therapies in MS. But because I graduated from nursing school when I was 12, I'm actually still quite young, and despite those 30 years. So I spent a long time in academic medicine. And then I was with the National MS Society for 7 years. And then recently, just January of this year, I joined the staff of Can Do MS as the Vice President of Programs. And I work very closely with Brian and others to develop and implement and evaluate the programs that we have and think about what other things we need to be doing to help the MS community. I'm very excited to be here and happy to be working with Brian and the rest of the team.
Great, that's fabulous. Thank you very much. Quick thing before Brian, before I allow you to speak, before you give us, before you honor me with what you're doing there, right? I want to let everybody that's online to please know that if you have any questions relative only or relevant to the topics of tonight's program, there's a arrow at the top in an orange rectangle. You click on that, you ask your question. Please do not ask anything that only a doctor can answer, because they are not here tonight, all right? So if it's something that you want to ask that is pandemic related that we might be able to answer, then go for it. But otherwise, please hold that for Tuesday night when we will be online again with a doctor speaking, and you could ask the doctor that question at that time. All right, so Brian, tell me about you and what your role.
Well, thank you, Stuart, and thanks, Kathy, for also being here. And to echo Kathy's sentiment, this Advocacy Hub, it's an amazing opportunity for us all to get together and share what we're doing, because we're all here for the same purpose, and that's to support and improve the lives of people living with MS. So to have this opportunity to share a little bit about Can Do MS and what we're doing, and hopefully kind of inspire you to learn more is a great opportunity. So I'm the Associate Director of Programs and Legal Compliance here at Can Do MS. And so I work with Kathy and a wonderful team here in Colorado and across the country to deliver our programs to people with MS. And so we reached over 70,000 people last year. And obviously, like the rest of the world, we pivoted to a virtual world pretty seamlessly. And so we're offering programs every week on all sorts of different topics, and really trying to meet people where they're at and give people the support they need to give them the motivation to live the best life possible. So I became involved with the organization actually more from the nonprofit realm. I'm a recovering attorney that really wanted to go into nonprofit work that made a meaningful difference. And here in Vail, Jimmy Huga, who's our founder, that we'll talk about here in a couple of minutes, is an absolute legend here in the community, both for his ski racing, but also more importantly for what he's done for the MS community, and really changed how people receive care and receive hope for living with MS. So it's an honor to be here tonight.
Great, thank you. You know, somebody just asked me what your role is with legal compliance. What do you do?
So it's a good question. You know, the healthcare world is it's a tricky world out there. So we do a lot of programs with physical therapists and doctors and nurses and speech language pathologists and occupational therapists. So to make sure we provide education that is safe and responsible for everyone. So we do a lot of work on that, but we're also really growing. Like I said, we're just a few years ago, maybe we were reaching 10 or 20,000 people, and now we're reaching 70,000 people, and we're partnering with MS centers across the country and other organizations, and that can be tricky sometimes, but the intent is always there. We're always working for the same cause. So it's just helpful to make sure we're all doing the best service that we can for people with MS. So.
Great. Thank you for that. Kathy, quick thing. Somebody just wrote in also, is it possible that you add the Can Do events to the Can Do Facebook page? This makes it very easy to add Can Do events to support other group calendars.
Yeah, sure. We have started to add our events on our Facebook page for sure, also on our web page as well. So yeah, there's a variety of places. And I think, in fact, there's a handout that you have, Stuart, that will inform everybody about our May programs.
That's true.
So
that's
yeah,
true.
Thank you for that.
Right. So since you mentioned the handouts, and by the way, guys, this is the way this goes. All right. I have questions for you. You know, I have a lot of questions, but we're also going to take questions from the audience. So every time that they have a question, if it's like in tune to what we're talking about at the moment, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to go forward, and we're going to tackle those questions. OK. But yes, for everybody that's online, please know that you could click on where it says handouts. All right. And there are two handouts there from Can Do. One is about Jimmy Huga. And is it Huga or Huga?
Huga.
Okay, there you go. And and the other is what Kathy was just mentioning about their programs. Okay. All right. So now going forward again, Brian, can you tell us about the history of Can Do?
Absolutely.
When it was established again, and why?
Absolutely. Thank you, Stuart. And, you know, I think every organization has roots and has a story, and ours we're really, really proud of. And I think it really sets the tone for the types of programs that we do and why it makes us unique compared to some of the other organizations out there. So Jimmy Huga was a ski racer, as I mentioned, and in 1964 was the first time ever that American medaled in skiing at the Olympics. So he really put skiing on the map here in the United States and was a legitimate Olympic hero. And as he was getting ready for the next Olympics, he started to experience some vision issues and some balance problems. And ultimately, he was diagnosed with MS in 1970 at the age of 27. So here's a young man, an Olympic champion, new father, and he was being told at that time, MS was really unknown, and the prevailing medical wisdom was stay at home, don't exercise, certainly don't ski, just kind of stay home and avoid stress. So that didn't work for Jimmy, and against doctor's orders, he started to develop an exercise routine. He was really being concerned about what he was eating, his mental health, his social health, and really trying to be as active as possible, biking when he could, skiing as best he could. It wasn't the same as it was before, but he really found this new normal and discovered what he could do within sort of the confines of his MS. And it really worked for him, and he was feeling better, and his MS was kind of staying stable, and it worked for him. So in 1984, he started the Jimmy Huga Center here in Colorado, and he invited people to come out and discover what they can do, because it's such a personal journey for everyone. It's a little different. And so that's one thing that makes Can Do MS really unique is it's a unique journey for everyone, and everyone needs different support, different education. Everyone has good days, everyone has bad days, and everyone has a different vision for their future. And so Jimmy recognized that, and his gift beyond anything skiing is that he could connect with people and he could motivate people, and he couldn't be told no. And so for decades, he kept on pushing, and then in the early 90s, the medical community and the MS Society eventually agreed with them and said that exercise not only is not harmful to people with MS, but it's actually beneficial, that if you can take care of your whole health. And he discovered this thing called wellness well before, I think, it became sort of this massive thing that everyone talks about now. But he really talked about relationships. He was the first one that really recognized that MS affects the whole family, affects the whole social network. So we developed programs specifically for those folks. And that education is one thing, but you got to be able to put that education in action. So he really started talking about coaching and motivation and connecting with people on a personal level. And so that's where Can Do MS came from. And that's evolved into, as I mentioned, reaching over 70,000 people in all sorts of different programs. But all of them are connected to Jimmy's unique vision that you need to focus on what you can do. It's really easy to focus on what MS has taken away or might take away in the future. But if you can focus on what you can do in the present, you can build a stronger future.
Great. Thank you for that. Now, Kathy, before I get to you with the next question, I just have to ask one thing. Since Jimmy Huga built this, what became a little empire at the time, why did you change the name? Why did the name change from him to Can Do? I mean, I know you can do. Okay, but why? What provoked that?
Yeah, I think, over time, the name Jimmy Huga, while it is well known in the Vail Valley, not so much across the country. And it was really about the message, and it was really about the person. More than about Jimmy, it was about what people can do. And that was really his mantra, and identifying what people can do. And it just made sense that the name would change to reflect what really his meaning and really his legacy was all about.
Hey, gotcha. All right, Kathy, now here comes a question for you. Can you please share an overview of the types of services and resources that are offered? Many organizations provide educational programs. What is unique about what Can Do can do?
Thanks, Stuart. That's a great question. And, as Brian mentioned, it was really initially about exercise, right? So that was an important aspect for Jimmy Huga. And when he first initiated his program that took place in Vail, actually, it was a multidisciplinary program where people were evaluated and kind of understood what they were able to do. They met with healthcare professionals, and then they would go back to their lives and hopefully use what they had learned and incorporate that and be able to do more than what they had been able to do when they arrived. So it's really about meeting each person where they are, but also looking at the whole person, those various aspects that Jimmy also identified. So not only their physical health, but what about emotional health and relationships and work? home? What about financial health, cognitive health? All of these are aspects of someone's wellness journey. So for Can Do, what makes us unique, this isn't medical. This isn't about your disease-modifying therapy. Not that that's not important, it's critically important, but this is about the rest of someone's life. You know, when I think about it, there are over 8,700 hours in a year. And as a healthcare provider, I might see each individual person for 2 of those hours. And we talk about their disease-modifying therapy and their MRIs and their lab work, but there's a whole life that people are living outside of those few hours that I would see them. And what Can Do offers is a way to help people live that life, to reach the goals that they have, their individual life goals. It also is an opportunity to address the problems or hangups or barriers that are keeping people from living the fullest life possible. So for Can Do, every month there is a variety of virtual live programs to help people living with MS and their support partners. I'm going to get back to that in a second. Build connections, learn from healthcare professionals, and address their own unique challenges. So we may talk about nutrition or exercise or thinking, fatigue management and other symptoms, relationships, employment, financial planning even. Well, we meet people where they are and provide not only information, but strategies to help people identify their priorities, their goals, and then work together, not just with healthcare professionals, but with each other. So there's a lot of social interaction with other people living with MS to strategize how to meet goals and how to best do the things that people want to do. And the cool thing is that people do learn they learn things that they never thought were possible. And it's an absolutely awesome experience to see that happen for people. And I said I'd get back to support partners because that's a really unique aspect of Can Do. Support partners, well, that's kind of a funny term, but it's really the people that provide emotional and or physical support for someone living with MS. Could be your spouse, a life partner, a best friend, a sister, a parent, could be anybody. Really, it doesn't matter what the label is. It's that person that's helping you most emotionally and or physically. And those people have unique needs related to the diagnosis of MS. And they carry a lot of very difficult feelings sometimes because they are experiencing MS and feel guilty that they're experiencing MS because they don't have the disease. But it's a family disease. You know, we have a psychologist that we work with, Roz Kalb, who is a senior program consultant with us. And she often will say, MS is a we disease, not a me disease, because it affects everyone. Recognizing that, Can Do has designed programs, information, and resources that also are directed towards and help the support partners. It's sometimes more difficult to get support partners engaged, but boy, when we do, it's really a life-changing experience. So
that's good.
I think the uniqueness is the health and wellness, and it's also making sure that we address not only the person living with the diagnosis, but those people that are important to that person's life.
So thank you for that. So your meaning of support partner is what other people call the care partner, yes?
Exactly.
Okay, great. So being that 2020 was such a wonderful year for so many people, okay, and the world learned what a real virtual program was because so many of our organizations were doing this. What can you tell us about Can Do's virtual webinars? How do you select the topics? How do you get the different people to participate? What is it that you do? What is it that you want people to know more about? And I don't know which one to ask you this. So how about I start with one and then you flip-flop and you give it to the other one so that one's not taking up the whole time?
Sure, I can go first. Thanks, Stuart. So yeah, it was a year of pivoting, I think, for all of us. But the good news is, as Can Do MS, we've always had a strong virtual presence. So we do a monthly webinar with partnership with the MS Society. And so we were just able to kind of add to that. So we really thought about what do people need throughout the course of a year at any given time, and especially these days, you know, it's really about connecting with people and staying resilient and staying positive. And so we were able to take our webinar and then really create a roadmap for every week of the month. So each month we have either a webinar, or we'll have a support group that goes along with that, or a workshop or a coaching session. That's all sequential and all kind of following the path of how people learn and how people get ready to make positive behavior changes. And so, again, one of the things that make Can Do MS pretty unique is, in addition to webinars and education, which is so important, but our Jumpstart programs and our coaching programs, we put people into small breakout rooms of 8 people, 10 people, and say, you know, here's a question. Let's work this out together. Let's problem solve together. Let's share our fears and our anxieties and our hopes and our successes together. And really building a community online, which is a challenge, but it's something that has changed the way that we engage with our constituents on a weekly basis, because people come back week after week and we see them grow and we see them connect and we see them build upon what they learn, and attaching science to that there's a science of how people change and how people stay positive and how people stay confident. So that's a big part of how we shape our programs and our topics to try to match it, you know, with what's going on in people's lives. So January, we really focused on those New Year's resolutions that we never really keep after the first week. So how, you know, with diet and exercise and everything, how do we keep people motivated? In May, and we'll talk about our May programs, we're attaching a flyer here. It's National Mental Health Awareness Month. So it's all about recognizing and addressing some of the common mood and cognition symptoms in MS that unfortunately are underdiagnosed and underserved, and so getting people at least aware of those symptoms and some strategies to start managing them. But just also, you know, mental health, it's just our positive mindset and our resilience. So we're really focusing on that in a sequential way. The last thing I'll mention, and I'll turn things over to you, Kathy, real quick. So in addition to sort of these weekly programs, the Can Do program, which is really what Can Do MS was founded on. Originally, it was a 5-day program, and people flew out to either here in Colorado or we were doing it at the Shepherd Center in Atlanta. And so it's an in-person, multi-day program. It's almost like a summer camp for improving your life with MS. And so that is really that foundation of multi-day progression and community that we were built upon. And so one thing we're really proud of is we were able to take those multi-day programs, turn it into a way to do it on Zoom, and make that progression and that community possible online over multiple days. So people come day one, and a lot of them, especially those support partners that Kathy mentioned, may not even know that they need to make a change, or they may think that everything is as good as it's going to get in their lives. And so we get them at that sort of phase of their readiness to change. And by the end of day 3, they're ready to put a plan into action that's hopefully sustainable. And what was really cool about that, we had this program, it's a 3-day program coming up next week. So we met with the staff. And so our staff is a team of healthcare professionals from all over the country. So I mentioned neurologists and nurses and OTs and PTs and dietitians. And we had a pre-call with them, and there's about 24 people, 24 staff members, which first of all is amazing because the program is a small program to 24 people. So in our healthcare world, a 1-to-1 ratio is unreal, right? So the first that we can even provide that is pretty amazing. But then the staff that was there, a lot of them were part of the original programs 40 years ago. And so we were kind of doing the math, and between these 24 people, I bet you there was 500 years of service to Can Do MS because they believe in the mission of helping people thrive, and they believe in the program, and they come back year after year after year. So that part is really cool too. So
before I let Kathy speak, and I don't even know if you left anything for her. All right, but before I let Kathy speak, you hit on two things that I have for questions for you because you already mentioned it, so now I have to ask them. All right, and then maybe Kathy should answer them though. First one, what is the mission of Can Do?
So the mission, very simply, is.
Whoa. I asked Kathy.
Oh, sorry, Kathy. Go for it, Vice President.
I want to hear Kathy answer some of this.
We provide health and wellness education and support so that people with MS and their families thrive. Really, that's the simple mission that we have. And,
okay, great.
And honestly, did you have another question before I follow up on what Brian had to say? I don't want to interrupt you.
Yes, I just have to ask one more question. This one's going to go back to Brian based on what he was just talking about, and then he's got to hand the mic over to you, all right?
Very quickly, yes.
Great. All right, you mentioned about the Jumpstart program. Can you please tell everybody what this actually is all about, where you do it, and a person wrote in also, when is the next one at the Shepherd Center?
Absolutely. So we have a few different programs. So our Jumpstart is our one-day program. Typically, it's in person. So in 2019, we did it at 25 different markets around the country. Now it's virtual, so it's a 2.5-hour workshop where there's some education from a healthcare professional, and then we break people up into breakout rooms, and it's really a problem-solving workshop on different topics. So we have 2 of them coming up in May. It's in that May programs handout. That's on the bottom of your screen there. And people can register on cando-ms.org. And we're doing them twice a month. So you can sign up for all of them for the whole year. You can sign up for just one. And then each of these Jumpstart programs has a follow-up coaching program. So there's actually one virtual program each week. Specifically with the Jumpstart program, we are looking forward to hopefully doing those in person in 2022, if that's the way the world is looking. And so we're going to start working on that soon. In addition, at the Shepherd Center, we're looking forward to bringing our Can Do program, which is a longer program, back to the Shepherd Center because they're wonderful partners down there in Atlanta. So virtual now, cando-ms.org, and hopefully in person in 2022.
Great, thank you. All right, Kathy, sorry for the delay.
It's all right. I really just wanted to follow up on what Brian was saying about our programs and how we choose the topics. And, you know, it would be really presumptuous of us, particularly those of us who don't live with MS, to just sit back and say, well, I think we should have a program about XYZ. That's ridiculous. So we literally ask with each program. We have surveys that we ask people to complete. And, you know, nobody likes to complete a survey. We try and keep them as short as possible, but that's what helps us. We also ask people individually. You know, we often hear from people who live with MS, and we ask, what is it that you're interested in? What's most important to you? How can we be of most help to you? And some of it's through information, and that's our webinars. Some of it is kind of tied to time of year because people do have some issues that come up at certain times of year. But other things are topics. For instance, last year, you can imagine the topic of the year, and it's still bleeding into 2022, is COVID, right? So we had lots of information about COVID, and this year too. And not just information in webinars, but we had podcasts, we did videos. So different types of media because people learn differently. And they like to see things done differently. So we tried to provide information in a variety of ways. And this year, same thing. There's still a presence for COVID because that's what people have a huge interest in. But there's other topics that people talk to us often about. They talk a lot about cognition and how MS has affected their productivity at work, for instance, their ability to sequence their thoughts or rapidly come up with information and provide an answer. Some people will say, by the time I come up with an answer, the conversation is 3 questions past me. And so what kinds of strategies can I use to help me in that situation? So by listening through surveys, through actually hearing from people, we're developing not only the topics, but how we actually deliver the information to make sure that we're doing this correctly so that we're actually helping people and meeting them where they are.
Good, thank you. I like that because I don't mean to say it like this, but MS Views and News says basically the same thing. You know, we do it based on what we hear from the patients, what they want, which is why we have 8 different series of all these virtual programs happening now as well. All right, enough about me. All right, now I have a question again for Kathy. All right, I'm going to let Kathy speak a little bit here. All right, how has Can Do helped people during COVID, other than the programs that you were just talking about? What else have you done?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing, and I felt this as well as people with MS felt this, we all felt isolated, right? Particularly early last year. We felt ridiculously isolated. We couldn't go out. My groceries got delivered to me. Everyone was afraid that, you know, the person that you'd see on the street might have COVID, you'd get it. I mean, it was awful. There was also such a lack of information. Were people with MS more susceptible? Were they going to get sicker? Were the disease-modifying therapies that they were on, were they going to have an influence on this? So there was this dearth of knowledge, which was frightening as heck. And so I think the main thing that Can Do provided was community, was really reducing that isolation and providing a place where people could come and share what was on their mind. They could share what was scaring the heck out of them. And we could provide the information that we knew. We could provide the facts that we knew. And as we learned more, we could share more. So we were helping to reduce isolation. We were giving people a place to go and share. And it was a regularly occurring place, right? So you knew that on a certain time, you could, if it was Webinar Wednesday, you know, you could come on and you could be with others. And that became really important for people to have that connection. And I think also to have the information that was necessary. And, you know, as Brian said earlier, we were mostly live programs. Those programs that Brian mentioned, Jumpstart, Take Charge, our Can Do program, they were all live, and we did a lot of them. And literally, in the blink of an eye, they were no longer live and in person. They were live, but now they were virtual, so that we created a virtual world where people could still come together, still learn, still connect.
That's very good. Thank you. What can you tell me about the Can Do On Demand?
Brian, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, Can Do On Demand's our online learning portal, and just thinking that people learn differently about different topics. So we take different topics, like we're putting some information up on aging this year. It's sort of a big topic based on feedback that we received, that people really just need to know how MS and aging kind of overlap. And so for each Can Do On Demand, there's some education. There's also some real world scenarios that you can apply some of this information in sort of real world scenarios to see how different strategies and different resources can lead to better results. And then we ask people to really think about their goals and how they can apply this different information. So it's sort of a learning management system, and it's definitely something that we're going to progress as you know, this virtual world is not going anywhere. So if we can get people onto a virtual platform in the comfort of their own home and not just learn, but learn and then apply and really set some personal goals, then I think we're doing a service to the MS community. So that's what Can Do On Demand is all about.
Great. Glad to hear that.
I think, Stuart, it's back to what we were saying about trying to meet people where they are and to meet what learning needs they have. You know, the virtual world probably won't go away. There's definitely a place for it. We've learned a lot about it. On the other hand, people are Zoom fatigued. And, you know, this two-dimensional world is hard all the time. And I think that when we're able to have in-person programs, we will, as long as it's safe and it's able to be done. But I think there's always going to be that virtual space. And that's where we create this on demand. So it's when people are ready to learn. We'll have that live aspect so that people can ask questions in a live environment, and then we'll have that in-person environment. And I'm sure I don't know about others, but I can hardly wait for that to happen because those programs are pretty cool.
You must be reading my mind, because my next thing that I was going to ask you was about what are you going to do when you have to start doing programs again? All right. How much of your virtual, this is a few-part question. How many of your virtual programs will continue? All right. Will you be doing everything that you have been doing and then adding in the in-person live events again? Will you be doing them as hybrid events, like something that we're going to be doing, and we're going to be starting that again real soon? But will you consider doing your live programs as virtual programs, or the way we used to do? What was it called? You did a live program and you did it as a live stream, right? And that was the old wording for it. And of course that has changed thanks to COVID. All right. But will you do that? And when will you get started on doing that?
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. And we're actually in the process of planning, just getting ready to plan for what's going to happen in 2022. And, a lot of it is based on what's happening, right? So where are we with immunizations and immunity and the safety of gathering people together? And as we feel that safety level increasing, we'll start increasing the in-person programs that we have. But we're not going to go all in person. There will be virtual programming because, not everybody can get to an in-person program. They're not everywhere, yet virtual is everywhere, right? Virtual allows people from all over the world to participate. In person, it's different. It has a different vibe to it. It has a different feel for people, and there's a place for that. But there will now that we've learned this and seen the advantages and how we can have better access for people and better connection, we'll always have a virtual world. And it's likely that we'll do hybrid as well, as you mentioned. So we're in the process of actually looking at what that ratio is going to look like. And a lot of it'll be really what's happening in terms of where are we in this pandemic recovery to know exactly how much of one. My feeling is, we've gone to 0 in person and all virtual. And I have a feeling that the ratio will change, but one will not replace the other. There'll be a place for all of these programs as we move forward.
Well, it definitely costs less to do the virtual program.
That's for sure.
And you don't have to worry about what you're ordering for food for everybody. Okay. Or how many chicken meals you need versus gluten-free versus vegetarian.
Absolutely.
Right? That's right. That's right.
And if I could add something real quick on that, Stuart. So, one of our big goal is helping people thrive. And part of that is behavior change. We want people, whether it's diet, exercise, symptom management, relationships, work, finances, to make small changes. And people don't make change necessarily after one webinar or even after one in-person program. It's a continuous sequential progress. So actually with our Can Do program, even when it was in person, there was a 6-month online follow-up because that's how behavior change happens. So I think you used the word hybrid, and I think that's the answer. Is it's a little bit of everything to get people continuously moving in that right direction. So
that's right. That's right. Thank you for that. So quick question about your organization. Somebody wants to know. How large is your organization? How many people have you got there? How far spread out are you in the Colorado area?
So that's a great question. So here at our home office, we have about 20 employees. So our programs team is a small and mighty crew of 6 people. And so we're based here, and we have our marketing team and our development team and our administrative team. But then we also have some remote employees like Kathy, and that's obviously going to continue to grow. And then we have our consultant team that really puts on our programs and delivers our programs as speakers and content providers. And there are over 100 of them all throughout the country. So it's not as small as MS Views and News, but it is a small and mighty organization. So
we pride ourselves on being small yet quite large. You just virtually look at all the miles you can cover, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So
I will say that the consultants, Stuart, are by and large healthcare professionals, health coaches, nutrition coaches that are in practice. Or some are recently retired, that is true, who have been working with us for a number of years. But the cool thing is that what they bring is a lot of that knowledge. So even though we're helping people facilitate change, there is that knowledge base that each one of these consultants brings. And so they are generous with their time and their expertise, and we value them enormously and couldn't do what we do without their help. They are magnificent, to say the least.
Well, I'm very glad that Can Do is out there, and I'm sure that anybody listening is going to be glad that they have been on here tonight, and they could share it with their friends as well, because they can do, right? All right. Next, let me ask, I don't know who's up next here, but I'm going to just fire it out and you can decide for yourselves. What about the virtual coaching? How does this work? And how does this resource come to life?
Yeah, so Brian talked a little bit about behavior change and how people make change. And everyone has priorities and goals and things that they want to do. And to some extent, sometimes larger than others, MS has gotten in the way of what people want to do. And they may be unaware of how they can navigate through and around that. So a coaching session is built around a topic that has been a theme for a particular month. So for instance, in May, our theme is around mood and cognition. So a coaching session is really looking at what are someone's priorities around mood or cognition, whichever the coaching session happens to be. What are the goals that someone has? And now using a group process that's facilitated by one of our consultants who's knowledgeable and has expertise in this area, how can we help someone strategize so that they can meet those goals? How can they improve their mood? What strategies might work best for them? When it comes to cognition, how can they best support their own cognitive function? What kinds of strategies can be used to help them when they're in their daily life? For instance, in helping them to remember things and helping them to process the information that they need to so that they can work, have a conversation, participate with others. So a coaching session really helps people identify their own priorities, their own goals. It's not about ours, it's about the people who are participating. And then utilizing a group process, really facilitating strategies that can help them reach those goals. It's really pretty cool. This is not new, it's not unique to Can Do. We started this formally in 2020, but honestly, the coaching has been embedded into the Can Do programs forever. We pulled it out so that we could actually have sessions that would specifically address goals and how to meet them. Whereas some of our other programs have more workshops built into them. They may have one-on-one sessions with healthcare providers. So they provide different things, whereas coaching is specifically around those goals and those behavior changes that people can make with support.
Okay, thank you for that. Brian, I might have hit on this already, or you might have hit a little bit on it, but can you tell us again how Can Do has evolved over the last 40 years?
Yeah, absolutely. So, our program portfolio during Jimmy's time was really this Can Do program, which is multi-day, really intensive, multidisciplinary experience. And for many years, we took that show on the road. So we would do a week in California and a week in Florida and a week in Georgia and all over the country. But, for some people, so we have to have something for everyone. As Kathy mentioned, this on-demand philosophy of we want to meet people where they're at. And some people are really ready for that. And some people really need just some information or a support group, or there's something for everyone. So I'd say the biggest wave that we've evolved is now we do webinars and we do coaching sessions, and we talk about COVID, and we talk about financial planning and how MS affects careers and families. And so we're just really kind of taking Jimmy's message, which was really focused on exercise and diet, and that was really what he believed strongly in, keeping that, but looking at wellness in a bigger way, that we can all make little changes in all these different areas of life that add up to big results. And to be able to do that in person and online, and just, I think, reaching more people in different ways.
Great, thank you. Now, Kathy, what drew you to going to Can Do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mentioned earlier that, I've been around a long time and spent most of my career in academic medicine as a nurse practitioner. So, seeing people with MS and participating in their care. And then spent time with the National MS Society, actually in healthcare access. So growing the MS workforce through fellowships and educational programs. So this is actually not new, but new in terms of a career path. And before I came to Can Do, I had the wonderful opportunity to be a consultant with them. And I participated in webinars and podcasts, and I even had an opportunity to be part of their flagship Can Do program, that multi-day program that Brian mentioned. And I found it life-changing. And I mean it was life-changing for every person and every support partner, meaning that family member that was there. In an absolutely astounding way, where people realized that they could do so much more than they realized they could do. And they had the support and the resources to help them along the way. It was as if we said, listen, if you need our hand to help you out, here it is. And then you know what? You're going to be able to do it yourself. And that's what people took from the program. So at the end of each of these programs, people get an opportunity to tell you, what has this program helped you with? What has it done for you? And it was transformational. It was transformational for every person who participated. And I got to tell you, for every one of us who was there as a consultant, it was just as transformational for us. As a healthcare provider, I did participate, and there were life-changing things that happened. But this was different. This was someone realizing that in their own life, and all those 8,000 hours of their own life when they're not seeing their healthcare provider, that they can live their life and reach their goals. And I got to tell you, I had to be part of this. I found it to be just amazing, outstanding, life-changing, not just for the people who participated, but for me. And I wanted to be a part of it. And I can't tell you how happy I am to be able to be a part of it. And it's all those things and more. And every one of us is working really hard to make sure that we're able to do that, meet people where they are, and help them make those changes.
Thank you very much for that. Quick question. How are the Can Do programs funded?
Yeah, there's a multitude of funding sources that we have. Lots of, there's certainly donors, there's individual donors, there's corporate donors, there are some pharma donors. The good news is that none of our programs have content that is given to us by anybody else. All of the content is generated by Can Do. We must have complete control over anything that we do in terms of content, the goals, the objectives, the topics, the delivery methods, and we certainly appreciate all of the support that we are able to have. And we also appreciate the fact that it's well understood that we have to be completely independent in how we deliver our programs.
Okay, thank you. So going forward with that, what do you think about why the need is there for the health and wellness and programs? Why are they so important for the people with MS?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as Brian mentioned earlier, Jimmy was a little bit ahead of the curve here. So long before the research caught up with him, he figured out that, you have got to attend to your own self, your own wellness. He didn't necessarily call it that, but these aspects of your life that make up who you are. And you need to attend to those to be able to live well and to live the life that you want to have. And over the years, research started to catch up. In 1996, there was a seminal paper, research that was done that indicated that, hey, guess what? Exercise was great. Well, Jimmy knew that back in 1970 when he got diagnosed and developed a program around it. But now everyone was really getting clued in on the fact that exercise was good. Fast forward, there's now reams of data that indicate that physical activity, including exercise, improves stamina, it reduces fatigue, increases endurance, strength, flexibility. It supports mental health. It supports cognition. We also know that while there's not a specific MS diet, we know that having a diet that is what we would consider a heart-healthy diet is actually good for MS, because getting those, what we call comorbid conditions, those other illnesses and conditions, are bad for MS, particularly high blood pressure, diabetes, and other cardiac problems. They can actually make MS worse and progress more. So attending to a good diet is important. We know that managing stress and mood is important to overall outcomes in MS. We know that relationships, healthy relationships, are really important for people to reduce isolation, improve connectedness, all, again, making the overall picture of MS better. I can go on, but the research is truly supporting that wellness and every aspect, or what some people will call dimension of wellness, is important to overall success and optimal well-being within multiple sclerosis. So the evidence is now there to support this. We've known for years, because people told us for years, listen, when are you guys going to get on board with this? This is what's working. And so finally, the research world caught up, and we support that through the programs that we offer.
Thank you. What do you do when a person says to you that there's only one diet for MS? What do you guys tell them?
Yeah. Well, there's unfortunately not probably just one diet. Now, having said that, someone may be feeling absolutely terrific on whatever it is that they're doing, right? And I'm happy. I am happy for that. However, like a lot of things with MS, MS, as you know, Stuart, is remarkably unique to each individual. There's over 20 disease-modifying therapies. If MS was the same for everybody, we'd probably need just one. But that's actually not the case. So MS affects each person individually. And so disease-modifying therapies as well as wellness strategies are going to be just as unique for each individual. And there's a ton of research going on around diet. And is there a specific type of diet that's going to be best for MS, or is it going to be a variety of different diets that are best for people with MS? And, so the research isn't complete in that area. I think what's known now thus far, as I mentioned, is attending to that cardiovascular health. We know that that's good for MS. We know that maintaining good vitamin D levels are important for people with MS. We know that a lot of the symptoms that people experience can be affected by diet, meaning when people eat a diet that's high in sugar, high in processed foods, their fatigue level can go through the roof. Their GI system does not work as optimally as it should. And when that diet gets reduced in that high sugar, high processed foods, people feel better, they have better energy, they sleep better, and overall they feel better. So while there's probably not one single diet, just like there's not one single disease-modifying therapy, we know that there are approaches to diet that we know right now are beneficial.
Great. All right, good. Thank you for that. Now, next question. Can Do MS has an incredible library as a resource. Where can this be accessed, and what type of information does it offer?
Yeah, so Can Do -ms.org, and people ask why the hyphen, and if you spell out Can Do MS as one word on a URL, it actually spells Candoms, which was a little close for comfort for us, so throw that hyphen in there. So Can Do -ms.org. And on there, you'll find all sorts of different resources. We have hundreds of webinars that we've done over the years that are archived, that can be viewed on YouTube. So anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes. There's the gamut there. So just a little bit of information for each webinar. There's also an article that's written by at least one healthcare professional. And one thing that we really pride ourselves on is most of our materials are multidisciplinary. So if you wanted to look at exercise, or if you want to look at diet, let's talk to a dietitian and a psychologist, or a dietitian and PT or a nurse, or to really get that whole comprehensive view. So lots of webinars and articles on there. We also have a really cool program called Ask the Can Do Team. And this is where you can just submit a question online, and then we forward that on to one of our consultants, and they provide a response. So it's really interactive, and it gets your answer to the question. And the best part, I think, is then we post that anonymously online, and we put it on our e-newsletter, because if you have a question, there's a very good chance that hundreds of other people have the same exact question. So that way we're all learning together. So I think that's a great resource as well. And you can find all of our programs and events and different things going on at cando-ms.org.
Great, thank you. Now, for everybody that's trying to write down what everybody's saying here, you don't have to. Remember, this is being video recorded, okay, and it will be up on our YouTube channel in a few days, and you'll be able to go back at that time. We will send you a link that you can watch this again, or you can turn it on to others, or you can use it just for finding where we are right now with what Brian just said, or what Kathy said earlier, and then you can know what you're going to do with that information. Somebody just asked, and I'm sorry, I got to bring this up now because if I forget again, they're going to get angry with me. How did the Can Do MS name evolve? How did it even get worked out that you came up with Can Do? Was it just based on what people can do, or?
Yeah, to go back to Jimmy's story, his tagline, his mantra was focus on what you can do. So that was incorporated into all of our programs from the very beginning. So when we were really looking at, what do our programs do? What's the end result, and why do people come to us, and what makes us unique? It's that focus of let's focus individually, which is different from person to person, what you can do now, and that may change down the road, but it's always staying positive and staying solution oriented about what you can do. And so that really came straight from Jimmy, and that became our calling. So
great, thank you for that. Now, staying on that line though, I mean, that was a good time. Hey, I did it, I put it in at a good time, because what's going to come next is what's on the horizon for Can Do.
Yeah, well, we talked a little bit about that with having some of our programs go back to being in person. So we will continue with what we call our core programs, so our Jumpstart programs, coaching and Take Charge and Can Do. So from the shorter programs to multi-day programs. But we also are looking at other media opportunities, right? What can we do on social media that would get our message out to people and help them most, provide them with information and another platform with which to have discussions. Also adding more specific topics. For instance, we talked about having topics around COVID, but there are a multitude of symptoms that people experience that we can build different types of multimedia program offerings around. Again, listening to what people want. And we ask, and so we build our programs each year based upon what people have said to us, what we've learned from our surveys, and then of course at this time, where we are in terms of a pandemic. But Brian, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think as we alluded to before, really figuring out what motivates people and what makes people want to make positive changes and stay with them, right? Our vision statement is lifelong support. So maybe you need something now, and we want to be able to provide that for you. And in 40 years, you may need something else. We want to be able to provide that to you as well. So I think finding a way to reach as many people as we can, while also make it really individual and really what what do you need at this time and what motivates you? So that's a tricky challenge to bring things to scale, but also make things really personal and resonate people on a fundamental level. So that is, I think, our big challenge. But we're really excited about it, and we've got a great team and a great vision of what we can do to impact people every single day. So.
Okay, thank you for that. Tell me about your podcast. We haven't hit on that yet.
Yeah, that's a new feature we added, I guess, a couple of years ago. Podcasts are a great way to provide information, but I think even more so to tell stories. And I think we learn as much just hearing from other people's experiences. We started a new station, and it's one of the most downloaded MS podcast stations out there, and we really try to find different topics. So we're doing one on COVID, and we've done one on relationships. We're focusing on different symptoms and how people manage about that. But it's really, sort of Kathy's point, I don't have MS, so I don't know what that internal feeling is like or what the external struggles are. but if we can get someone who's going through that, and if you can relate to that person through a podcast or through a story, then I think it opens up some possibilities and makes people feel more connected and confident. So cando-ms.org or on Apple iTunes, you can find it downloaded there. So we have lots of different stories on there. Kathy, anything else you wanted to add on that?
Well, no, I mean, that's actually one of the ways I got involved with Can Do, was doing a podcast. So it was a lot of fun.
How long are each of these podcasts?
They vary. We try to make things really short so people can listen to it on their drive to work. So anywhere from like 10 to 30 minutes. And sometimes we'll have more than one story. A lot of times we'll have someone interview a couple. So that's kind of nice to get the support partner view, which, as we talked about, is so important to us. And then, the person from MS and the journey that they've gone through together.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Now, last thing. Your fundraisers, they look very exciting. I wanted to go out there last year, but that didn't happen. All right. But I was going to come out to one of your events last year when you got into the winter months. Can you tell us about the different and exciting fundraisers that you have, how you're going to be planning these for the future, and what you all are going to be doing?
Sure, I can start with that. So our two big fundraisers, again, Jimmy, he was a skier, right? So we try to carry on that legacy. So one of our two big fundraisers is called Ski for MS, and it is pretty much a ski-a-thon. How many vertical feet can your team ski? And it came directly from Jimmy when he was raising money for the original Jimmy Huga Center. He did the Jimmy Huga Express. So he went around the country and skied all day and all night. These different ski resorts would stay open 24 hours just for Jimmy, so he could keep doing laps and raise money based on that. So not to brag, but my team got over 6 million vertical feet, which I was pretty proud. That's a lot. So we do them in person at ski resorts all over the country. This year we did it virtual, so people could ski at any mountain that they wanted, their home mountain, and we make it a lot of fun. And when we do it here at Vail, there's actually a ski trail called the Jimmy Huga Trail, and still today we gather everyone at the end of the day, and we all ski down together down Jimmy's Run. So it's really a wonderful tribute and legacy for him, and fun. And then the other big one is called MS Global that we work very closely with, and that is a bike event, a big bike race that we do all over the world, actually, with all the proceeds going directly to Can Do MS programs. And so this year, we didn't do it last year, unfortunately, but this year we're returning in Bend, Oregon. So we'll be there in September for our MS Global.
Right. What do you do for the people in Florida for these ski events?
Water ski?
That's right. But you can't find the highest mountain here.
We can come on out to Colorado, Stuart. We'll go skiing.
Sure, no problem. You'll have to pull me down the mountain or something. Yeah, you get me on a sled or a toboggan. I haven't done that in years. All right. So right? Yeah. Once you start going, you can't stop going. All right. So I don't have anything else for you guys. I want to ask you each what you might want to add from your own perspectives at this point in time. And so, Kathy, let's hear from you first.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, thanks very much, Stuart, for giving us this opportunity. And, you know, having been involved as long as I have, there's a ton of information and resources and programs out there. And each of the organizations, for example, in the coalition, offers something a little bit different. And I think that's spectacular. You know, there's limited resources in the world, and it's nice that we're all kind of coming at things from a little different angle. For Can Do MS, it's obviously it's about health and wellness. It's about identifying what people can do. It's helping them identify goals and behavior change so that they can make the changes that make the most meaning in their life. So we fit into this whole picture in that way. I think if you had a puzzle that was the MS Coalition's different logos, for instance, that's where ours would fit in. And I'm happy that we are part of the coalition. And I think it's important for people to know, just as you're providing this opportunity, it's really important for people to know what's out there and where they can get what they need. You know, what resources are there, what support is there for them. So I'm happy to be part of it. And I hope tonight people have learned a little bit more about us and how we fit in and how we can be of help to each person.
Right. Well, thank you for that. And that's the reason why we as an MS Views and News, decided to put together this advocacy hub so that way people can finally get a grasp on it all, because somebody had to be the center of the wheel on this, right? And we just decided I decided to grab the bull by the horns and say, let's get him, all right? So another thing is, I got a couple of people asking questions online before I get to Brian for his wrap up here. But Tammy is asking, I'm staring at the little letters, right? Does the Can Do program have an app to download? Does Can Do have an app to download for the programs?
We do not have an app, but our website's optimized. You can certainly see everything on your device, including the program calendar. You're able to see that, the descriptions of the different programs. All of the information that's on our website is easily seen on any device. So while there's not a specific app, our information is easily accessible. Great question. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And Brian, Ann wants to know, do you teach people to ski?
Not through Can Do. I'm actually a licensed ski instructor. So if you want to come out, we can.
How did I know to ask you that, right?
We do at our programs, though. You know, Jimmy was also a pioneer in adaptive skiing, which for those of you who have been out on the mountain, it's some pretty amazing things. People ski on sleds or on almost like a walker that goes down. And he was really a pioneer in that, too. And so at our programs, we actually do provide scholarships or at our Ski for MS events that people can take a lesson if they have MS and they want to take a free adaptive ski lesson. So we've been doing that for a few years as well.
That's awesome. That's really what we should be talking about. We should really be talking about the adaptions that you guys have out there. And, you know, I would love to know more about that. If you have any videos on that, I would really, really like to share that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's something that really a lot of people do need. So.
Yeah, we'll send you one. There's an awesome video of a fellow that's using adaptive skiing. And it was one of those life-changing moments for him. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So now a person is writing, how do you get a scholarship to do this?
Well, it's going to be kind of a next year thing if we do that. But if you go to cando-ms.org, you can sign up for our e-news, which is our monthly newsletter. And so we put all of our programs, our events. If we do the scholarships next year, all that information will be on there. So get a monthly email. And that's probably going to be the best way to stay up to date with what we're doing. And also on Facebook, you can friend us at Can Do Multiple Sclerosis, and we put some stuff up there every day to keep people engaged. So,
well, if you want to share,
Our programs are free. Everything is free.
Sounds
So,
like that tax commercial. Sounds like that tax commercial, free, right? Okay. Before Brian and before you just go, I just have to plug something, and that is that we have our Compass Care Rural America program happening on Tuesday night with Dr. Borished from, I can't say the name of his town, but he's in a small area in northern Michigan. All right. And he is obviously doing this virtually with us. And Dr. Borished will be on. We have that program starting at 6:30 p.m. You could find it on our website. You can find it all over social media. And I'm sure everybody here will be getting an e-blast about that in the next few hours. All right. So we hope to see you on that program as well. All right. Now, Brian, let's hear what your final perspective for tonight.
Well, again, thank you so much, Stuart, for having us, and to reiterate how needed and how innovative this hub is, and just getting us all together to really talk about what we're all doing. But there's that overlap, that we're all here for the same purpose, and I'm glad that we can work together. And I look forward to doing more of these in the future. And to reiterate what Kathy was saying, this concept of reinventing what we can do, I think, is a theme that's been in all of our lives the past year in particular. And I know for people with MS, you've been finding a new normal and adapting and staying resilient your whole lives. And so we learn as much from you as hopefully you learn from us. And I hope we can continue to motivate each other and support each other. So please visit cando-ms.org, and we'll look forward to seeing you at a program soon. And again, this Can Do MS 2021 May programs. We have 5 free programs coming up just in the month of May. So register, join us, and please stay in touch.
And everybody should know, thank you for that, and everybody should know that they have a lot of programs, we have a lot of programs, and we're trying not to overlap the programs on those nights, all right? We're trying to work with each other. We have 11 programs coming up in May, and finding the spots to not hit on you guys, it's just becoming, well, good thing we have 31 days in May, right?
That's right.
Okay. So again, I wanted to thank you both for being on here. I want to thank all of our attendees. I want to thank, of course, Bristol-Myers Squibb, Sanofi Genzyme and Biogen. You can see them back there behind me, okay? I'm sitting in the wrong spot tonight, but I had to get comfortable. And so, again, if anybody has any questions after the program that you want me to get to Brian or Kathy, just send an email to me, and I will send an email to them, and they can respond to you directly. I don't need to be in the middle of that, okay? But again, thank you for being here. Thank you for being online. I thank you all for everything that you're doing and helping people to do whatever they can do. Have a great night.
Thanks so much, Stuart. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.